Hey kids, and welcome to the show. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about sarcasm. My sarcasm specifically, because for whatever reason, I've always been very sarcastic. It's gotten me in a lot of trouble throughout my life. You know, when I was in school, I was sarcastic at teachers. When I was at home, I was sarcastic with my mom. I was always a sarcastic kid. And sometimes that sarcasm came from a place of just wanting to make somebody laugh, and other times that sarcasm came from a place of hurt and pain. An example, and this is one of the most visceral examples I can share, and this is one I want my kids to understand, because if you're watching this, you have to understand that my grandfather was the most amazing person in my life. He rocked it. He was cool. In my eyes, he could walk on water. And when he passed, it was devastating to my little 14, 15-year-old heart. It was tough. And actually, I was 16. It was one of the hardest lives that I've ever lost. And it would go on to not be the toughest, but it was up there. Now, when I was at his funeral, I was walking around. My youth minister walks in, and God bless her, she was there for me. And that's what youth ministers do. Good youth ministers are there. Thanks, Miss Leah. Anyway, she was there, and my grandmother was sitting off in a corner in the big grandma chair. You know, at the funerals, we have the big grandma chair where she sits and everybody goes and says hi to her and offers condolences. And I was off to the side, and my wonderful youth minister said, "Is that your grandmother over there?" And I said, "Yes, Ms. Leah, that's my grandmother. My grandfather's the one laying down." The look on her face is still one of the things that make my world wonderful. Because without hesitation, she looked at me and said, "That's inappropriate, Willie." Smirked a little bit, gave me a hug, and understood. Good youth ministers, good people, understand that sometimes sarcasm comes from a place of pain. And sometimes it just comes from a place of, I want to make somebody laugh. Well, being a sarcastic, politically homeless, because there's not a political party that really speaks for me, and I love politics, which really sucks. So I've been independent for 30 years, it seems like. Yeah, we're living in a world of censorship, and sarcasm is considered mean. And yes, sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not meant to be mean. It's meant to bring awareness. And our culture has come to a place of mean, and I don't like that. And I said something. I did a tweet yesterday, and it was really mean. It was super mean, but it wasn't untrue, and it really made people mad. And whenever people get mad at somebody that talks about God, they always attack your Christianity, and I would put my faith up against nobody's, because it's my faith. Anyway, I digress. It's one of those things that just it was about unfortunately it was about Gabby and Petita, and I just tweeted that she was a pretty girl. You know, it was mean. It was just talking about how there's never anything about brown girls, and that's the truth. And Precious Doe is the last one I remember, and unfortunately, there aren't big national stories about black girls, indigenous girls, and all that stuff that get reported very much. And I don't want to take away from this horrible thing that happened to Miss Gabby. I'm gonna say Gabby because it's my daughter's name. It wasn't meant to be mean to her family, because legit, it sucks. And there's no amount of anything that could make someone feel better. I think that bringing awareness to injustices are important, and we can both respect her family and call out the injustice that there is this social divide. And it was really ugly. And it made me recognize that if I want to grow my Twitter channel, I have to do stuff like that. And I'm not going to do stuff like that, because in 3 hours, I got 20,000 impressions, and versus something that's 2 weeks old that I get like 50. Mean things, or things that are perceived to be mean, are mean. But where do they come from? My tweet in particular just said, have you ever noticed that when a president is in office, that there's always a national outcry to save a pretty young white girl? Yeah, that was pretty charged. It was. And man, the visceral. If you can't talk about all the other missing girls when the spotlight is on Gabby, then her death really doesn't matter. And I think it should. And we should use this to say, hey, who are the people in our communities that need to be found? Who do we need to look for? I feel really bad that I made the tweet, and I haven't deleted it, because the tweet itself is not false. But truth without grace is mean. And it was a mean tweet. It was a true tweet, but it was a mean tweet. So I ask for forgiveness to anybody who got hurt by the tweet, but I stand by the tweet. I'm sorry you got hurt by it. But you can't be a person that lives tragedy through sarcasm and then get attacked for it. Yeah. It was pretty funny. Some of them were funny. Some of them made sense. Some of them definitely didn't read what I said. I never saw so many people from the right and the left come at me, which was pretty cool. And it's always the same kind of things, like, oh, you're not a real Christian because you said something mean. Yeah, well, I say mean things sometimes, unfortunately. And the great thing about being a Christian is, yeah, I'm not perfect, and I don't think I am, and I don't think anybody else is. So there it is. So it should have been a live show. I wish I was doing some super chats. So anyway, I want to know if you are a person that suffers from sarcasm and are having a hard time living in the society of censorship. Because I have to watch comedians from 2008 to really appreciate that we have lost. Till next time, work hard, be kind, have fun.